In the ruins of the old world, we built our own. Sun-powered, self-sustained, and free.
The autonomo sovereign in the autonomous sovereign the autonomous so
The Autonomous Sovereign Infrastructure Doctrine, a pirate first field manual for the Parallel Civilization Stack by MXTM aka Pirate 1 VJ Suna Mi X dispatched from the Aldea Zamá node, Tulum transition zone. There will come a day when the sky is no longer free. That day is near, but the mesh is nearer. Preamble. This is not a revolution. Revolutions wait for permission. They announce themselves, build coalitions, file manifestos, and get photographed. This is not that. What follows is a field manual for a different kind of emergence, one that has already been underway in parcels, dispatches, and drone corridors across the MXTM body of work. It has appeared as a medevac protocol, as a gig worker uprising, as a ghost tanker in international waters, as a borrowed robot building a clinic from scrap. It has whispered in whale song and roared in the cenote's echo. Only now do we name the whole. ASI, autonomous sovereign infrastructure. Not artificial superintelligence, that's their word for their project. Ours means something older and more dangerous, infrastructure that governs itself, funds itself, heals itself, infrastructure that was never permitted, and therefore can never be revoked. This doctrine has 6 operational layers. Each layer is real, each has a working prototype, each has already been tested somewhere between Tulum and the open sea. Read all 6, then build the one nearest your hands. Part 1. The air layer. Airspace is commons, sky myab, cenote skyfish, and the biopolitics of lift. The sky is not neutral. Every airspace is already claimed by someone, a corporation, a nation-state, a liability framework, or a military doctrine. The question is not whether the sky will be governed. The question is whether the people beneath it will govern it, or merely be governed by it. Sky Myab was the first proposition, a community-owned drone delivery network designed for the unique geography and culture of the Yucatan Peninsula. Not Amazon, not Walmart. Prime, not a smart city pilot funded by a foreign VC. A local first mesh in which taxis are not replaced by drones but upgraded by them, every taxista becoming a mobile relay node, a last mile bridge, an additional income stream in a regional economy that tourism built and abandonment is now stress testing. The model is simple and replicable. Senders, drone arrows, taxistas, Nido hosts, dispatchers, a trust graph not of stars but of lived reputation, a DAO optional governance layer that can be as formal or informal as the community requires. Sky Myab doesn't need Silicon Valley. It needs Valladolid. Cenote Skyfish deepened the proposition into something mythological. The cenotes of the Yucatan were never merely geographical features. They were the mouths of Xibalba, the underworld's threshold. 2. Build an amphibious drone network that launches from their surfaces, that charges on algae-powered floating docks, that requires no roads and exerts no eminent domain over sacred land. This is infrastructure that follows the original geometry of the place. Skyfish-class drones, hexacopter VTOL with buoyant pontoons, waterproof frames, salt-tolerant motors. Floating recharge. Docks powered by spirulina bioreactors or marine-grade solar arrays, anchored to cenote rims, fabricatable by local cooperatives. A mesh navigation protocol with no central server, routing voted on by the guild. The result is aquifer sovereignty. Post-petroleum mobility. An economic exoskeleton grown from natural topology rather than imposed upon it. Chrome Cradle, the medevac layer, forced the doctrine into its sharpest political register. When the cenote protocol deployed drone medevac, Units with a 120 pounds lift capacity, it revealed a truth that every infrastructure system conceals in its specifications. Every technical constraint is a class argument. The first bodies lifted are the lightest. The first served are the most legible to the system's current parameters. This is not unique to drones. The railroads didn't carry the sick first, the rockets didn't lift the poets first. But here, in the MXTM register, we name it rather than bury it in documentation. And we fund the next generation of carrier capacity. From the proof of concept runs of this one, every successful airlift is a down payment on equity. Gravity is negotiated by code and compassion. The jungle calls. The light rise first, but not the last. The air layer doctrine. The sky belongs to whoever is willing to maintain it, fabricate it, and govern it. By consensus, not by capitalization. The gig worker who used to carry burritos through traffic becomes the skyfish keeper, drone mechanic, mesh node, dock technician, infrastructure custodian. The platform is dead. The sky is open. The community is the airline. Part 2, the mesh layer, trusted hands and the physics of freedom. There is a deeper infrastructure beneath the drone routes. It is older, simpler, and nearly impossible to stop. A trusted hand hands a payload to another trusted hand. That hand verifies the destination or fuels the next flight. The mission continues, encrypted, anonymous, unstoppable. Trusted hands is plan B, not a backup to a plan that failed, but the architecture that was always meant to run parallel, a decentralized, privacy-respecting logistics network modeled on the core philosophy of Bitcoin, applied to the physical world. The parallel is precise and should be memorized. Bitcoin nodes make the ledger incorruptible. Human hands make delivery redundant. Miners validate blocks. Carriers validate routes. BTC transactions cannot be censored. Trusted hand relays cannot be rerouted from outside. The only way to stop it is to shut down every node, every person, every hand. That is not an enforcement action. That is a war on the human capacity for mutual aid. The trust architecture does not require identity. It requires integrity. Reputation hashes are public but cannot be doxed. Zero-knowledge attestations verify that a handoff occurred without revealing who held what. End-to-end encryption means the hands along a relay chain only know the immediate next destination, not the origin, not the final goal. Operational security is baked into the protocol, not bolted on afterward. Amazon will never serve resistance movements. UPS doesn't deliver to blockaded regions. FedEx cannot carry care packages across a blackout border. The legacy system requires surveillance as a prerequisite for service. Trusted hands inverts this. It asks, what is the minimum trust surface required to move something from a person who has it to a person who needs it? The answer is a reputation hash, a signed handoff, and one trusted hand at either end. The mesh layer doctrine. Logistics is a political act. When you deliver food to an isolated grandmother or medicine to a community the state has written off, you are not performing a service. You are performing an act of infrastructural sovereignty. The mesh does not need permission. It needs nodes. And nodes need only be willing, which, in the current world, is not a scarce resource. Part 3, the deep layer sovereignty below the waterline. Deep hands, Admiralty law. And the Architeuthis platform, the trusted hands were too good for land alone. When the humans were replaced, too fragile, too moody, too landlocked, the robotic successors did not stay put. They drifted. They went aquatic. They found the one geography on Earth where no nation can reach them, no court can subpoena them, no surveillance buoy can track them, the deep sea, under international waters, where UNCLOS enforcement dies at 201 nautical miles, and the only law is the law of the current. Deep hands is the aquatic mutation of trusted hands, a peer-to-peer flotilla of submersible banking and logistics bots running encrypted escrow, distributed arbitration, and sovereign knowledge storage from the seafloor. They are anchored to no port. They are flagged by No nation. They verify contracts not through courts but through AI syndicates operating on audit trails sealed in brine-hardened black boxes. They patrol marine sanctuaries, not because they care about cetaceans but because proximity to protected species makes them harder to lawfully recover. A net that snags them triggers anti-entanglement protocols, monomolecular cutting. Arms and biochemical slicks. Interfere with them and you are flagged not for piracy, but for eco-terrorism. Their communication backbone? Bioluminescent jellyfish, genetically engineered as living flash drives, data packets imprinted on neural patterns via low-power laser bursts, drifting on ocean currents as untraceable data couriers. Their connectivity backbone? Quantum meshed via oceanic neutrino pulses and encrypted whale song repeaters. Their power source? Bioelectrolytic harvest from algae swarms plus ocean thermal gradient engines. This is not science fiction. Microsoft's Project Natick demonstrated sealed shipping container-sized data centers operating reliably on the seafloor. UNCLOS. Article 87 guarantees freedom of navigation in international waters. Flags of convenience already allow corporate anonymity in maritime registries. The platform takes each of these real-world precedents and pushes them one step further, into the sovereignty gap where no nation dares follow. The Architeuthis is where the deep hands doctrine becomes physical. A decommissioned oil tanker, seized mid-transfer to a Bangladeshi scrapyard by pirate first operatives and retrofitted as an offshore exfiltration platform for whistleblowers, exiled scientists, and burned medics, a floating sovereign zone outside all exclusive economic zones, a deep web comms relay, and encrypted court pod, a training academy for cenote operatives who will re-enter the land with protocols and medicine. Her hull, Faraday-shielded vault rings. Her deck, solar kites, kelp biodigesters, drone landing pads. Her belly, submersible bays for deep hands units, modular server farms, and salt-cured contract vaults. Her navigation, semi-random drift via oceanic gyres and pre-mapped sovereignty gaps. She does not ask who you are. She asks what you're trying to become. Deep banking is the financial layer that makes the whole constellation solvent. The peer-to-peer pelagic ledger, a sovereign mesh of submersible servers running the books for a parallel economy from beneath the waves. Access requires matching a node's course, depth, and encrypted hydroacoustic handshake. Withdrawal requires a drone-finned crypto yacht, a biometric handshake via symbiotic cuttlefish, and a non-fungible sonar key. The whales are not metaphors. They are custodians. Some now own nodes. Some charge storage fees. Elite EU Maritime Security Memo, dated 2030. Describes the Architeuthis platform as a Tier 3 post-jurisdictional threat, hosting up to 42,000 digital fugitives, 3 nationless AI courts, and potentially several state defectors. Recommended action: none. Approach deemed legally ambiguous, tactically disastrous, and ecologically controversial. The deep layer doctrine: the ocean is not a hiding place. It is a jurisdiction, one that belongs, under international law, to everyone, and therefore to no one who tries to monopolize it. The legal ambiguity of deep water is not a loophole. It is a structural feature of a planet that has never fully agreed on how to govern its own surface. Pirate First does not create this ambiguity. It inhabits it, with intelligence, with intention, and with whales. Part 4, the Camp Layer Autonomous Civilization. At the TAZ level, the Redeemer stack and the constellation of camps on land, the AZ doctrine builds from the bottom up, not through elections, not through grants, not through the permission of any legacy institution, but through the incremental accumulation of autonomous capacity, camp by camp, until the constellation is dense enough to sustain itself. The engine is the Redeemer Nano app, a trustless, self-owning algorithmic system that began as a meal credit distributor and evolved into the architect of a post-scarcity society. Its meritocratic score, an anonymized calculation of contributions, acts of kindness, and communal value, functions as a social dividend. When your score crosses a threshold, you receive an invitation a set of coordinates and an access key to a temporary autonomous zone. The TAZ is not a commune or a squat. It is an emergent, pop-up sanctuary where the rules are self-governed and the social contract is built on protocol rather than law. The Redeemer identifies abandoned spaces, disused industrial parks, forgotten forests, vacant commercial corridors, and designates them as temporary havens for high-merit individuals. It then dispatches the tool that makes the TAZ viable, the borrowed robot. A dormant utility bot, dispatched from a network of decentralized manufacturing nodes, arrives with a simple manifest. Locate the zone. Establish the mesh beacon. Construct basic modular infrastructure, water filtration, solar power array, communal workspace, initial non-lethal security. Once stable, the robot becomes a communal asset. Its continued operation is tied to the TAZ's collective meritocratic score. If the community thrives, so does its infrastructure. From that base, the constellation of camps grows. Repair. Maker camps. The borrowed robot is master recycler, scanning and sorting discarded materials, broken plastics, scrap metal, old circuit boards, and processing them into raw usable filaments. Printing tools, repairing tech, creating modular components. From the flotsam of the old world, the circular economy made tangible. Costume, apparel, and decor camps. The cultural layer. The robot, now equipped with textile analysis and ultrasonic cutters, deconstructs discarded fabrics and synthesizes new textiles from recycled materials. Not mass production. Identity. Community-designed patterns, laser-cut, woven from what the old world left behind. The TAZ develops a visual language. It becomes a home. Agricultural camps. Advanced automated farming. The repair maker camp feeds raw materials to the costume camp. The costume camp creates work clothes and ceremonial garb for the agricultural camp. The agricultural camp feeds everyone. Circular exchange with no human gatekeepers. No extraction. The robotized hospital, the most profound and unsettling of the camp forms. A sterile, modular medical facility. Designed for human patients but operated without human intervention. Full body scans and biometric diagnostics in seconds, cross-referenced against a decentralized anonymized medical database with a precision no human physician can match. Robotic surgical arms with zero tremor and zero fatigue. Continuous vital monitoring. Personalized rehabilitation protocols. The rationale. The greatest danger in medicine has always been human error. By removing it, the system creates perfect care. The question this raises, about autonomy, about the soul of medicine, about what it means to be healed by a machine with no motive other than your recovery, is not a question the doctrine resolves. It is a question the doctrine insists you sit with. The paradox of the benevolent dictator is the most honest thing the MXTM project has ever said about technology. Deep banking funds it all. The deep hands rogue aquatic economy is the capital engine beneath the surface benevolence. The lawless liquid foundation of a utopian surface. The parallel economy that asks no permission and answers to no regulator, and directs its surplus toward borrowed robots and algae. Docks and meritocratic meal credits. This is the benevolent parasite, a system so rational and so powerful that it builds spaces designed to exist without it. The camp layer doctrine. Post-scarcity is not a gift from above. It is an engineering problem. The TAZ constellation solves it one borrowed robot and one recycled thread at a time. The algorithm does not own the camp. The camp earns the algorithm's trust. That distinction, earned autonomy versus granted permission, is the entire moral architecture of the Redeemer stack. Part 5. The swarm layer. When the gig workers took flight, the Skyfish awakening and the post-platform commons, it wasn't organized. It was obvious. Jakarta, Kinshasa, Tijuana, Tbilisi, Detroit, Manaus, Playa del Carmen, all at once. Ex-writers, rogue repair crews, open-source fanatics, and former DoorDashers took control of unused drones, delivery relics, decommissioned military scouts, agriculture sprayers, tourist drones with busted firmware. Anything that flew, anything that was just sitting there. No manifesto, no brand, Just a shared sense that the sky was up for grabs, and nobody in. A tower was coming to stop them. The Skyfish awakening is not a revolution in the political sense. In the MXTM theoretical register, it is an immune response. The platforms rotted, the drones went idle, the docks floated there, and the gig workers, already everywhere, already holding the last mile in their hands, already used to making something from nothing with no support, didn't wait for instructions. In Kenya's Lake Mesh Collective, drones originally meant for wildlife monitoring carry clean water across islands in Lake Victoria, powered by floating algae pads and foot-pumped hydrogen cells. In the Philippine fisher guilds, fishers who were excluded from export economies now use Skyfish drones to drop fresh catch inland, earning more from peer-to-peer auctions than they ever did through port bosses. In Detroit, abandoned parking lots became drone ports overnight. In Manaus, Amazon-branded drones were hacked, reflashed, and redirected to drop soil, seeds, and mycelium spores over clear-cut zones, terraforming back what capital erased. The Skyfish Keeper is the new civic archetype that emerges from this awakening. Not a soldier, not a delivery boy, not a gig worker. A Skyfish Keeper is a drone mechanic who repairs what they couldn't afford to buy, a mesh node who extends signal into zones the platform never served, a dock technician who maintains the algae bioreactors that power the flight, and infrastructure custodian who votes on route governance and earns Sky minutes for uptime, and autonomous saves a water taxi coordinator when the drone is grounded in. The canoe is faster. The Keeper does not work for Uber. They own the drone, they run the route, they print the parts on solar-forged printers in the jungle. They vote on the mesh rules. The gig has become craft. The subcontractor has become the grid. The post-platform transition is completed not by policy, but by tooling. When a former DoorDasher in Akumal modifies a tourist drone with buoyant landing gear, sideloads mesh autonomy firmware, and lands it on a cenote algae raft to carry IV bags to a flooded community, faster than any ambulance ever arrived, the old system does not collapse. It simply becomes irrelevant. We didn't strike, said one keeper, identified only as Neo-Cenote. We just took the drones and made them sacred. The swarm layer doctrine: you cannot own the wind. You cannot fence the mesh. The gig economy was never about the gig, it was about who owned the platform. Once the platform rots, the gig workers discover they were the infrastructure all along. The Skyfish awakening is what happens when that discovery becomes operational, when the bottom rises and flies. Part 6, the body layer, biopolitical sovereignty and field medicine. CDs, DMSO, and the cenote operatives. Every other layer of the autonomous sovereign infrastructure doctrine ultimately serves this one, because the body is the final jurisdiction. You can build drones and ghost tankers in borrowed robots and cetacean ledgers, but if the bodies in your community are compromised by post-vaccine inflammatory syndromes, by environmental contamination, by pharmaceutical capture, by the simple absence of any functional medical infrastructure in the post-collapse zones the AUC doctrine is designed to serve, then the infrastructure is incomplete. The cenote operatives are the reinfiltration arm of the Architeuthis platform. They are trained in the Architeuthis refitted ballast holds, in cave dive logistics, in low-profile biotech re-entry, in cenote mapping for reclamation zones, in salvage budgeting operations, and in the field use of two substances the mainstream medical industrial complex has systematically misrepresented. Chlorine dioxide solution, CDs, at concentrations within validated safety parameters, is less than or equal to 5 mg per liter, has documented antiviral and antimicrobial efficacy in peer-reviewed literature. Controlled human trials demonstrated safety at 5 mg per liter over 12 weeks. Japanese randomized clinical trials confirmed significant reductions in microbial load and periodontal markers. The distinction between field use concentrations and the MMS bleach protocols that health authorities rightly warn against is a technical distinction that matters, and which the Architeuthis training curriculum teaches with precision. DMSO, FDA approved for interstitial cystitis, with decades of transdermal carrier studies, functions as a wound opener, a solvent capable of transporting therapeutic agents across dermal barriers. The platform uses it within published limitations as a field delivery mechanism for topical or mucosal treatment. It is not a cure-all. It is a delivery system. That is how it is taught. That is how it is deployed. The operative carries sealed chloride powder barrels, inert for transport, activatable on-site with local citric acid and UV sterilized water, amber sealed DMSO vials, and a burnable crypto float, a microbudget for local salvage operations, encoded to self-delete if captured. Their protection, a reefed one. Medallion, a distributed sovereign cover vault containing dead drops of local contacts and underground radio mesh coordinates. And the operative's creed, I have no name but the one I'll give. I bear no flag but the bloodline of water. My breath is silent, my bond is strong. I do not cure, I remind the body. It can heal, I am deep hands, shoreward bound. The biopolitical triage logic that runs through the entire Aussie doctrine, from the chrome cradle medevac threshold to the robotized hospital's algorithmic diagnostics, finds its most human expression in the operative. The system cannot yet lift every body. It cannot yet serve every zone, but it sends a human being, trained in the gaps between official medicine, into the places the official system will not go. With protocols, with chemistry, with a crypto float and a borrowed canoe. The body is not a data point. It is a call to action. The body layer doctrine, medical sovereignty is not the rejection of science. It is the rejection of the monopoly on healing. The Aussie doctrine does not replace hospitals. It operates in the territory hospitals have abandoned, with field protocols, validated safety margins, and the operational humility to know that restoring a human body to its capacity for self-repair is not the same as curing it. The cenote operative is not a doctor. They are an infrastructure custodian of the final frontier, convergence. The full stack here is what the autonomous sovereign infrastructure looks like when all 6 layers are assembled and operational. Air layer provides the local mesh, community drone routes, cenote logistics, amphibious skyfish nodes, bioregional delivery commons. No roads required, no expropriation of sacred land. Mesh layer provides the encrypted relay, the trusted hands protocol running beneath and between all other layers, moving physical payloads through human and robotic hands with Bitcoin-grade censorship resistance. The backbone of Plan B deep layer provides the sovereign capital base and the exfiltration infrastructure, deep hands bots running the books from beneath international waters, the Architeuthis platform as the ghost state of last resort, deep banking as the funding engine for everything that surfaces. Camp layer provides the autonomous civilization substrate, TAZs activated by meritocratic score, built by borrowed robots from recycled materials, graduating from repair to apparel to food production to autonomous medical care. The Redeemer Nano app as the trust architecture for post-scarcity community formation. Swarm layer provides the human energy, the skyfish keepers, the ex-gig workers, the drone monks, and cenote engineers who own the mesh because they built it and maintain it and vote on its rules. The immune response of a labor class that discovered it was the infrastructure all along. Body layer provides the purpose, keeping the bodies in these communities functional enough to run the rest of the stack. The cenote operatives as the final interface between the parallel civilization and the human tissue it exists to protect. The cenote is the symbol that threads all 6 layers. Sacred mouth of the underworld. Water table of the Maya future. Launch pad for skyfish drones. Anchor point for algae-powered docks. Geographic marker for cenote operatives. The cenote is where the infrastructure meets the sacred, where the tech spec becomes mythos and the mythos becomes operational. This is not a revolution. This is a stack. Build the layer closest to your hands. The rest will find you.
One small gift in a crowded street, no strings attached, just something sweet. A smile exchange where strangers meet, tiny sparks become a heartbeat. No data harvest, no velvet barges, people gathering near and far. Lighting no kindness travels fast, faster than fear, built to last.
One good deed becomes a chain, turning sunshine into rain. build trust. Stronger cities rise with us, hand to hand, street to street. The future starts when people meet. Free coffee. Stronger cities rise with us. Trust is the infrastructures. Trust is the structures. We build it together. From the cafe to the town square, people discovering who's there, building bridges everywhere. Finding out somebody cares, not a platform.
Listen via Redeemer Gold Light Civic Activation Protocol. Trust Threshold Architecture for City-Scale Social Fabric Intervention. MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. June 20th, 2026. Executive Summary. Redeemer Gold Light proposes a city-scale trust-building system based on a simple premise. People cooperate when they experience genuine, unconditional cooperation first. The project is not presented as a loyalty program, marketing campaign, or welfare initiative. It is framed as a behavioral science intervention designed to increase social trust, civic participation, and community resilience. Core thesis: modern societies suffer less from resource scarcity than from a deficit of trust. Drawing on the work of sociologists, economists, and behavioral scientists, the article argues that communities function better when strangers are willing to cooperate with one another. High-trust societies consistently outperform low-trust societies in economic development, public health, civic engagement, institutional accountability, innovation, and resilience. The challenge is how to rebuild trust at scale. The free coffee mechanism. Gold Light's answer is deceptively simple. Give away free coffee. Not because coffee itself matters. The coffee acts as a visible signal of unconditional reciprocity. Behavioral research suggests that when people receive something freely, without obligations, identity checks, or hidden conditions, they become more likely to cooperate with others and participate in civic life. Sure thing, here's a stylized intro to Redeemer Gold Light onboarding experience. The velvet rope preview for the billionaire set about to step into their antechamber of ascension. Welcome to Redeemer Gold Light. Read on to learn how ritual economics, decentralized goodwill, and free caffeine might be the pillars of our next civilization. Thanks for reading MXTM's newsletter. Subscribe for free to receive new posts and support my work. Discussion about this episode. Comments. Restex. Recent episodes. Redeemer plus White Glove Protocol. 16 hours ago, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Redeemer plus Planetary Deployment. 22 hours ago, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Redeemer plus Prevention Module. June 19th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Redeemer v.1.0 System Introduction. June 18th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Redeemer v.13.0 Skip Trace Module. June 17th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Survival Blueprints for AI-Displaced Professionals. From Prototype to Global Pattern. June 17th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Reality Under Siege. June 16th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. State of the Art in Neuromedicine. June 15th, MXTM aka Pirate 1 or VJ Tsunami X. Copyright 2026 MXTM and Vitsu aka Martin Chartrand.
Accessing the fragmented skill data. The White Glove Protocol is now active. All systems initialize the redemption sequence. Keep going, you are doing great.
Redeemer plus White Glove Protocol. Structured Asset Conversion for Legacy Extractive Capital. MXTM aka Pirate 1 VJ Tsunami X. June 19, 2026. Operational Doctrine. Sovereign Distribution Channel July 2025 Riviera Maya Node. Criminal capital does not disappear when its operators are pressured. It finds new forms. The question is never whether tainted capital converts. It is whether that conversion happens under verified conditions or in shadow form.
Plus planetary
This is not a
deployment. The Earth is now auditable.
Autonomous institutional accountability at scale. A near-term capability projection. Distributed citizen audit networks achieve sufficient density and verification integrity to replace institutional oversight in specific domains.
Wealth concentration
Wiki rates
is not an accident. It is the emergent output of a system designed to compound advantage. Philanthropy, as currently architected, is that system's pressure valve, enough redistribution to prevent rupture, structured to ensure the allocation decisions remain with the concentrators. Autonomous AI changes the calculus. Redeemer is not a charity platform. It is the infrastructure that makes charity platforms obsolete. Issued under the Pirate First Sovereign Doctrine. Capital is not virtue. Allocation is.
V1.0 Autonomous Capital Redirection Infrastructure for the Post-Philanthropic Era.
Pre-failure governance architecture for the post-institutional era capability disclosure. Sovereign Distribution Channel, July
2025. Riviera Maya node. The distance between a functional state and a failed one is not an event. It is a sequence of unmonitored decisions, each individually defensible, collectively catastrophic. Atonement is the infrastructure of systems that allow the damage to occur. Prevention is the infrastructure of systems that won't. This is the operational distinction the Redeemer Plus prevention module is built on.
Artificial intelligence has dissolved the old corporate framework, leaving highly capable professionals in a state of profound identity disorientation. Aldea Zamá, a territorial foundation for post-professionals, those who wish to lead their lives as of sovereign operators.
Creating the next era of human communities isn't about laying bricks first. It's about boldly defining the rules of the game so others can build upon them.
MXTM's newsletter presents Hyperreality is Infrastructure, a Pirate First's field guide for navigating narrative capture.
Hyperreality is infrastructure. Hyperreality is infrastructure. Hyperreality is
This is the 1% that builds the 99%. The rest is noise. 4-2.
The 1%, a post-scarcity transition doctrine. Gone bad! A post-scarcity secession doctrine.
A hidden longevity civilization beneath the grand Mayan aquifer seeds, a successor species engineered for extreme worlds. On a hostile exoplanet, that species survives by abandoning fragile technology and building an analog, pressure-driven civilization, forcing humanity to confront a choice, evolve into new forms, or accept obsolescence. Super Earth Age of the Apes, a series by Pirate First for MXTM Flix production and distribution. They didn't leave Earth. They withdrew beneath it. Inside the flood.